I mean, as far as the way that he's pretty accurate, he's making. I don't think he's missed at all.
I don't believe he has. I think he's been solid.
And that team is just good enough to get in scoring position. I mean, you know, they have 11 field goal attempts, and they only have 5 extra points. 5 extra points. So that shows you right there that they're making progress as a team offensively, but they just can't get the job done. Well, that's what you want, you know. That's
You're
what
right.
you want.
Yeah.
So I like him. He's $4,500. It doesn't get any cheaper.
No, it doesn't get any better than that, and it doesn't get any better than this, Mike. If that doesn't help some folks out there ready to play some daily, I don't know what does. That's some of the best insight and best advice we've ever broken down on this show. I'm just excited how it turned out. Now it's your turn to help me directly.
Okay.
In a league I'm not in with you. And we're going to help out more or less. One of these applies to me in a way, too. I just want a fresh set of eyes on it. But we're going to help out some of the listeners out there. One of our listeners, Anthony, out there, picked up Jordan Howard this week for the Bears. And he's thinking of starting him over Latavius Murray. I want to throw you my thoughts. I don't think Murray's the right play this week. I think Baltimore is a lot better against the run than anyone might note. I looked at a couple things, and I got into it a little bit last night. I think it was, they gave 60 yards, 145 yards, and then 48 yards over the course of 3 games. In the game that they gave up 145 yards was really deceptive because they gave up an 85-yard touchdown pop to Isaiah Crowell.
Yeah,
so
I think
they skew numbers.
3.8 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns allowed. That's the lowest numbers in the league, or some of the lowest numbers. Plus, you got to figure, if I'm figuring out who I'm starting at a skill position like that, do I want to start it on a horrible offensive team? See, the difference between Zach Miller at tight end is the overall usage factor of tight ends in the league.
Playing from behind.
So the running backs, you're now dealing with a position that every single running back in the league is going to get his share of the load. Well, do you want to start a running back on a shitty team with just an okay matchup? I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. So, but I think at that rate, you almost do need to start Jordan Howard.
Well, if you've drafted him and you don't have an option, but I would much rather. I think Latavius Murray again. I haven't researched that matchup, but I think he'll have more options to score.
Yeah, as a Raider junkie, I'm looking into this. They're really liking to mix the ball up to Jalen Richard and the 5th-round draft pick DeAndre Washington. I could be wrong because Murray is getting the goal line carries, but not all of them. They like to sneak one into the little touchdown thief that is the fullback, Jameis Awale. I don't love Latavius Murray this week. I don't. If they're in Oakland, I would say, yeah, it would probably be a safer start. But on the road in Baltimore, look for this game to be a shootout with a young gunslinger trying to be like an older one. Yeah, they're going to throw the ball a lot more. Don't be surprised when Murray catches an 8-yard touchdown pass and a dump off. But if I'm you, Anthony, thanks for listening. We love you, man. But flip a coin, buddy. That's a real tough one. See if you can pick up somebody else out there too. So that's helping out some of the listeners. There's a few other things on here that they're not popping up for me just yet. Maybe you can answer this question for me.
Sure.
New England Patriots defense in a standard league.
New England Patriots defense in a standard league.
They're at home against Buffalo. Is this a big play? Do you do this or do you?
I think so. It's not a bad play. Rex Ryan. I love the guy as a coach. He'd probably be the most fun guy to play with, but he's just his mouth is a lot bigger than the job he does on the field coaching.
Sure.
And this. I don't see them going in to New England and getting the job done. Although I know they need to, so it wouldn't surprise me if they do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I don't know if I bet that way.
They were looking for a sleeper defense there, and
don't bet against New England.
Yeah, you never do.
Ever expect for him to be outwitted, and that defense is pretty good this year. They're better than last year.
They are.
I want to see them do what they did to Houston. All I needed was Lamar Miller to get me 6 points. That would have brought what Miami did down, and I would have won big. I would have shared it with some people, and I would have won a ton of money. So I could not believe they couldn't do one damn point.
Well,
so anytime you do that to an NFL team, you're pretty bad. So
you're a great contributor to this show, and we appreciate it. So if you want to take a second and vent, go right ahead, man. You've earned it.
Oh boy. Let me tell you, it really infuriating. And this is why this game is so much fun, because you just never know. I mean, everything we're telling you is consistent. I'd like to think intelligent. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's logic behind it. But again, when those whistles blow and those guys take the field, completely different things happen, and that's why it's so much fun, because you realize when you are successful at this that you really put in the effort and you figured it out. You know, it's kind of nice to not just be a spectator and watch and just be like, oh great, they scored a touchdown, yay, and really starting to break down matchups and seeing who has value against certain defenses, and when you get
really does. It
like
adds an aspect.
Yeah, it's like a pitching scout finding that diamond in the rough, and then, a year later or 5 years later, he's on the mound of the big leagues, and, there's satisfaction in getting it right. So yeah, I love this game, man. I mean,
it is a blast. I got 2 more questions, actually. They just came through. This must be from a Tampa guy. Cameron Brate, is he worth a start in the standard league this week?
I would say no. I think he's a good pickup, but I'd like to see what he'll do. I don't think that the Bucs have really relied so much on my tight ends that I would really feel comfortable starting him. I always like to see what people do. I mean, he had one good game, but it's kind of fluky. Anytime I see a guy who barely registers and really his production only increased because of his touchdowns.
Sure.
Again,
let me remind the listeners. Let me remind the listeners out there, we love you sending these questions in. It's awesome. But when you send them in, if you have additional options, let us know what the additional option is so we can answer this based on a comparison. You say, I've got Cameron Brate and or Mitch Cumstein. Let us know what your options are, and we'll put something together for you and see who we think might be the best start. That's
I think he's a good pickup. Keep him on your team and hang out for a while. If you got something better, start him, and then see what type of usage he's going to have.
Yeah, going forward, I like Cameron Brate. You saw I picked him up in our league.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Anytime a guy gets 10 targets, that's something to be paused at.
It is. Look, he's a smart receiver. He comes back to the quarterback. He's very good at working his way back. He'll work his way to Jameis' side of the field, especially down inside the red zone. I like Cameron Brate. This week, I'm not going to be shocked if he gets himself a 6-yarder. Six.
Well, they seem to want to maybe give him some confidence, too, because I think they really thought Safarian Jenkins was going to be the man, so they put up with a lot from him and then tried to get him the ball or had the idea that it was going to be that 2 wide receivers and that tight end were going to be, each one 6'5" or whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And at the end of the day, he just didn't have, he had Josh Gordon syndrome. So will they have the same template for Brate? I don't know. Again, that's why my hesitation would be to start him. But it wouldn't be a bad play. You saw what he did last week. So
yeah, he jumped right in. He did it last year, too. He was their best tight end last year.
Exactly. So if I'm a coach, I know that he can get the job done. Why would I expect anything different?
You can rely on him. Here's the last question that came in. He has Will Fuller. Is he worth a start this week? This is in the standard league. He's a little light in wide receiver due to the buys. So I actually I know what he's talking about. I think that Will Fuller would have been his backup behind Jordy Nelson. I think if you don't have a better choice, then you start Will Fuller against Tennessee. Tennessee's going to direct most of their attention at DeAndre Hopkins.
Exactly, and the running
Fuller's
game.
A young guy. Let's see what he's got.
Yeah, and he's going to, again, I like him for my third wide receiver spot. I wouldn't mind putting him in.
Wide receiver 3 all day. 2, I don't know.
He's not an RB1 for you, I hope.
No. No flex and no wide receiver 1 or 2, but I fit him in a 3 spot. He might be interesting. So
Exactly.
On that note, we're done, brother. Great job, dude. I think everybody out there is going to really love the information that you doled out here tonight. It was sage-like, to say the least. So great stuff, man. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. I hope all the listeners out there did. And Mike, we've emptied the tank, dude. Who's winning this game tonight?
Oh, geez. Cincinnati. I mean, I think Miami's going to get blown out. I think it's just a tough game for anyone. The short week and then going on the road, it's pretty much a no-brainer. But this is the NFL. But if you're asking me, if I had $100 who I'm putting it on, I wouldn't even blink.
No, I'm with you. I don't even like to talk blowout in the NFL because it's just such an ugly conversation in the gambling world. But I would take the Bengals. I don't know that I'd lay the 7.5 tonight, but I think Cincinnati does show up. They win this game by 10, maybe 13.
Yeah, let me just say this in the Dolphins' behalf and in the defense of Ryan Tannehill. I don't know what it is with that guy, but he can make it happen. He has Drew Brees moments, and then he has Barney Fife moments too. You've never seen more inconsistent play. So this will be a close game if you can get 4 quarters out of the guy. Because they have
let's see what we got, man. Mike, we're up against the time wall here, so let's cut it off. But thank you again so much, man. What a great night. Everybody will be back at you on Saturday for our NFL picks. Thanks. Go play Sunday Swim.
My pleasure. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
No longer being recorded.